Nobody believed it when veteran Lucas Hayes spent his last $50 on an entire ghost town in the middle of the desert. Handed over $50 for an entire ghost town, the world laughed. People called him crazy. Who buys abandoned sand and broken wood? $50 for sand and ruins. Locals said it was cursed, abandoned, haunted by wind and time. But Lucas wasn't scared. But Lucas wasn't searching for comfort. He was searching for peace, a place where the noise of the world couldn't reach him. He was simply tired of being alone. After deployment, after losing friends, after losing himself, all he wanted was silence, and a place where no one judged him. The desert wind howled through broken windows as veteran Lucas Hayes stepped out of his truck, staring at the ghost town he'd just bought for $50. Dex froze. His ears lifted. His nose twitched sharply. Ears up, muscles tight, staring into the empty windows of the ghost town like something was watching them back. Then, with a low rumble, he stared at an old boarded-up cabin like something inside was breathing, a sign Lucas had learned never to ignore, because the ghost town wasn't silent that night. Dex refused to sleep. He paced. He growled. And then, he bolted toward the cabin. Lucas grabbed his flashlight and followed, his heart pounding in the dark. What he found behind that door wasn't a ghost, revealing a family that was never supposed to be there. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Lucas Hayes had never imagined life would grow this quiet. After years of service overseas, after watching friends fall and futures burn, silence became the only thing he trusted. He didn't have a family waiting back home, no warm porch light welcoming him back. Just his loyal K9 partner, Dex, who had stayed by his side even after retirement. Dex was the one piece of his past Lucas refused to let go of. So when the listing appeared, old desert ghost town for sale, $50 as is, Lucas didn't laugh like everyone else did. Something inside him stirred. Maybe it was madness, maybe hope, or maybe he simply wanted a place where the world couldn't hurt him anymore. With his last bit of savings and a stubborn heartbeat pushing him forward, Lucas packed up his truck and drove deep into the desert with Dex sitting proudly beside him. The road seemed endless, stretching like a forgotten memory across the sand. When they finally arrived, the sun was dipping low, casting long shadows across the abandoned wooden houses. The wind whispered between broken windows, carrying stories no one had listened to in decades. Lucas stepped out, breathing in the dry air. For the first time in years, he felt something strange, a place that felt like it might finally belong to him. Dex stood still, ears raised. The ghost town wasn't as empty as it looked. Morning sunlight spilled across the ghost town, revealing more details than Lucas had noticed the night before. Dusty roofs sagged under years of neglect. Doors creaked weakly in the wind. But despite its age, something felt unsettled. Lucas walked the narrow dirt path between the cabins, Dex trotting a few steps ahead. The dog's posture was different today, sharp, alert, nose raised to the breeze as if he were picking up a scent Lucas couldn't sense. "Easy, boy," Lucas murmured, but Dex wasn't relaxing. His tail stiffened, his steps slowed, and he kept glancing toward a row of half-collapsed houses near the center of the town. Lucas pushed open the door of the first cabin. Inside, dust floated like tiny ghosts in the beam of sunlight. Everything looked untouched. But then he saw it, a set of footprints in the dirt, fresh enough that the wind hadn't erased them. That he moved to the next house. A chair was out of place. A tin can lay open on the floor. Someone had been here. Recently. Dex suddenly froze, muscles tight, staring at a small cabin with its windows boarded from the inside. A low growl rumbled through his chest. Lucas felt the hairs on his neck rise. The ghost town might have been sold as abandoned, but something, or someone, was living in it now. As afternoon pressed in, Lucas felt the ghost town shifting from abandoned quiet to something far more unsettling. The deeper he explored, the more the evidence grew. Inside one cabin, he found a blanket tucked behind a broken dresser, still carrying warmth as if someone had just left moments earlier. A half-burned match lay on the floor, and when he touched the metal stove, it wasn't cold, it was lukewarm. Dex paced in circles, nose to the ground, tail rigid. He tracked invisible trails through the dust, sniffing, stopping, then pulling Lucas toward the outskirts of the town. Lucas followed, heartbeat rising. Behind a larger house, hidden under a collapsed beam, he discovered something that made him stop. A child's shoe. Tiny, worn down, and recently placed. The realization hit him like a punch. Whoever was here wasn't just hiding. They were vulnerable. That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. Dex stood by the broken window of their cabin, ears perked toward the darkness. Then Lucas heard it too, a faint shuffle, followed by a soft thud, like someone tripping or stumbling. Not an animal. Not the wind. Dex growled again, deeper this time, and pushed his nose against the cabin door. Insisting they follow, Lucas grabbed a flashlight. The beam shook slightly in his hand as he stepped outside. Somewhere in the shadows, something, or someone, moved, trying desperately not to be heard, and the ghost town suddenly felt terrifyingly alive. Dex led the way through the silent night, paws barely making a sound on the dusty ground. Lucas followed close behind, flashlight trembling slightly as its narrow beam cut through the darkness. The dog stopped at the small boarded-up cabin, the same one he had growled at earlier. His nose pressed against the door, tail stiff, ears locked forward. Lucas swallowed hard and pushed gently on the wood. To his surprise, the door wasn't nailed shut. It had simply been wedged from the inside. It opened with a soft crack. The flashlight swept across the room, and Lucas froze. Huddled in the corner were a woman and two small children, wrapped tightly in blankets, eyes wide with fear. The woman held the kids close, shielding them as if expecting danger. Her voice trembled. "Please, don't hurt us." Lucas immediately raised both hands in the air. "It's okay. I'm not here to harm you." His tone softened. "I didn't know anyone was living here." Dex took a small step forward. Instead of barking, he sat and gently lowered his head, his way of showing trust. One of the children peeked out, their trembling easing just a little. The woman watched Dex for a long moment before whispering, He didn't growl at us this time." Lucas kneeled slowly. "How long have you been hiding here?" Tears welled in her eyes. "Long enough that we stopped believing we'd ever be safe again." And in that moment, Lucas knew they hadn't just been hiding from the world. They'd been running from something much worse. Lucas sat on the dusty cabin floor, listening as the woman, Maria, finally gathered enough courage to speak. Her voice shook with every word. "We ran. We had no choice," she whispered. "A man came after us. Someone dangerous. Someone who promised we'd disappear if we told anyone what we saw." Dex growled softly, pacing in front of the door like a guardian. The children clung to Maria's arms, their eyes still darting to every sound outside. Lucas kept his tone steady. "You're safe now. I promise. No one's hurting you while I'm here." But Maria shook her head. "You don't understand. He's looking for us. He's been in this town. He came back last week." A chill swept through Lucas. Suddenly, Dex's ears snapped upward. His body stiffened. His tail pointed straight. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Approaching through the dirt. Maria's breath hitched. "That's him." Lucas rose quietly, positioning himself between the door and the family. Dex stood at his side, teeth bared in silent warning. Lucas's military instincts surged back like a switch being flipped. "Stay behind me," he whispered. The footsteps stopped just outside the cabin. And for the first time since buying the ghost town, Lucas realized he wasn't the only one claiming it. Dex growled. The door handle began to turn. The door creaked open, but before the intruder could fully step inside, Dex lunged with a thunderous bark, forcing the man backward into the dust. Lucas rushed out after him, military instincts firing, pinning the stranger to the ground. The man struggled, snarling threats, but Dex stood over him like a shadow of judgment, teeth bared, ready to strike if Lucas gave the signal. Within minutes, Lucas had him restrained with rope from the cabin. Maria's trembling voice confirmed it. "That's him. He's the one we were running from." Lucas radioed the sheriff in the nearest town. When deputies arrived, the truth unfolded. The man was wanted for multiple crimes, and Maria had witnessed something he couldn't risk getting out. The family was finally safe as the sun rose the next morning. Maria stepped out onto the dusty street, watching Lucas repair a broken window while Dex played gently with her children. For the first time in months, their faces glowed with hope. "Why are you helping us this much?" she asked softly. Lucas paused, looking at the ghost town around him, the empty buildings, the quiet sky. and the family who had brought life back into it. Because this place wasn't meant to be empty, he said. And neither was I. Dex trotted over, tail wagging, for the first time in years. Lucas wasn't alone anymore.